Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Let's make Jimmy in Boston happy this hour with an episode of Marie Wilson, My Friend Irma. This episode is entitled Double Troubles, and this episode was originally broadcast on March 8th, 1948.
Lever Brothers Company, makers of Swan, the soap with the exclusive super creamed blend, presents
Our Friend Swan
with My Friend Irma.
Starring Marie Wilson as Irma and Kathy Lewis as Jane.
Friendship, friendship, just a perfect friendship. When other friendships have been forgot, theirs will still be hot. My friend Irma.
Well, this is Sunday morning, and I've got the blues like I never had 'em before. Why? Because last night we went out on a double date. Irma and Al, Richard and myself. And what is the result? Now, Richard doesn't talk to me, Al doesn't talk to Irma. The fact is nobody talks. Except Irma, you can't stop her from talking.
Jane,
Yes, honey?
I didn't mean to start the fight last night.
Well, you had no business insulting Richard that way. When he said his folks came over on the Mayflower, you had no right to turn to Mrs. Rhinelander and ask her how she enjoyed the trip.
I'm sorry.
Well, you started it, but Richard had no right to tell you that your head was the only vacancy in town. That's why I'm glad we walked out when we did. I am through with Richard.
And I'm through with Al. The way he behaved when the fan dancer came on. Put water on his face so she'd think he was perspiring, come over and cool him off.
Honey, I'd rather not recall any of the sordid details. We're through with the boys, and it's probably for the best.
That's right, Jane. This is a man's world, but we can go someplace else.
You're right, honey. We don't need the boys.
We don't need the boys.
We can do without them forever.
Yes, we can do without them forever.
What are you thinking about, Irma?
Jane, how can we get the fellows back?
We don't need 'em, Irma. There are plenty of things for two girls to do.
What?
Well, my heavens, we can do things like, we can knit, and we can read, and we can knit, and we can read, and we can knit. Gee, Irma, I wonder how we can get the fellas back.
I don't know, Jane, but this should only prove to us that a girl is lost without a fellow.
How right you are, honey. I wouldn't want to be found any other way. You know, I've got an idea. You know, all men like that domestic touch. Irma, you and I will cook dinner, and we'll invite the boys over. You see, there'll just be the four of us in a warm and friendly atmosphere, and who can tell? What with this being leap year and with a full stomach, a man's liable to say yes to anything. Well, we called the boys, and they're coming over. Now, Irma and I are preparing dinner, and Irma is her usual talented self in the kitchen. She has baked an apple pie, and it's perfect, except for one slight error. She forgot to put the apples in it. So now she's panicky, so she's cut slits in the crust, and she's trying to slip in the apples with a pair of tweezers. Oh, really? Irma?
Yes, Jane?
Forget the pie, will you, sweetie? It's a total loss. We'll serve the cake I baked.
All right, I'll get it off the fire escape.
The fire escape? What's my cake doing out there?
Well, Al likes icing, so I poured some water on it and set it out to freeze.
Look, Look, sweetie, I appreciate you're trying to help me, but Richard is coming. I'm trying to marry him, not poison him.
Well, Jane, I want the dinner to be good, too. After all, I want to impress Al. You know, spring is coming, and in the spring, a young man's fancy turns.
Yeah?
And when it turns, I want it facing me.
Well, honey, if I let you cook this meal, he won't be able to turn. Rigor mortis will hit him after the first bite. Suppose you make the cocktails, huh? Some Manhattans or Old Fanish? Come in.
It's only me, Professor Kropotkin.
Hello, Janie and Irma, my two little baby carriages. One with a fancy top, one a little buggy.
Why, Professor.
Excuse me, a little joke I picked up from a nursemaid. My, what smells so good? Such a delicate aroma could only come from one thing, Hungarian goulash.
It's pot roast.
How could I make a mistake like that?
Maybe the cow is Hungarian.
Please, Irma, don't mention cows. Cows remind me of milk. Milk reminds me of butter. Butter reminds me of a tub. And I don't want to discuss Mrs. O'Reilly.
You know, Professor, there are times when I resent those remarks you make. Frankly, I think you'd get more out of Mrs. O'Reilly if you met her halfway.
All right, I'll meet her halfway. I'll hold my arms out and tell her to come to me.
Ah, that's the spirit.
But only on one condition, if she's on the other side of an open drawbridge.
Now, you see, Professor, that's what I mean. You know, I think it's entirely your fault if you can't get along with her.
Jane's right. We had fights with Al and Richard, but we realize we're wrong, so we're giving them a chance to apologize.
Please, girls, I thank you for the consideration, but believe me, Mrs. O'Reilly is east and Kropotkin is west, and if I see her coming from the north, believe me, girls, I'm heading south.
But, Professor...
Please, girls, these are my last words. Besides, the smell of food makes me hungry, so I think I'll go back up to my room and open up a can of oyster soup.
Oh, Professor, that's out of season. There's no orange soup.
I'll drink it out of a saucer. There's an orange saucer. Goodbye.
Aw, isn't it a pity, Jane? Sweet old man like the Professor. What kind of a life has he got living alone? He has to go up to a lonely room and eat from a can by himself.
Yeah. It is sad, honey. There's nothing as pitiful as a lonely person. And I don't want us to end up that way. That's why we're giving this little dinner party for the boys tonight.
Gee, I wonder why the Professor hasn't gotten married in all these years.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he hasn't found the right person.
Yes, or maybe he can't get his father's permission.
Irma, hand me the flour sifter.
The flour sifter?
Yeah, you know, that shiny can with the little holes on the bottom.
Oh, that. I threw it out because it leaked.
Oh. Grand. I'm glad we haven't any screens in this place. You throw them out because they let the air in. Come in.
Hello, girls. Mind if I drop in for a minute?
Oh, not at all, Mrs. O'Reilly. You'll have to excuse us, though. You see, we're just getting dinner ready. Sit down.
Thank you. Oh, girls, I get the blues so badly, especially on Sunday. You don't know how lonely an old widow can be. So let me give you a bit of advice. When you get married, always treat your husbands kindly. If you don't, they get even with you. They die, the cowards.
Well, Mrs. O'Reilly, you know, you're still, shall we say, young.
Well, that's true. But my beauty's all slowly fading. At night I have to use all sorts of creams and Max Factor's makeup.
Have you noticed any difference?
I haven't, but the professor says I'm getting to look more like Max every day. Girls, believe me, the professor is a miserable-tempered man.
Well, Mrs. O'Reilly, you know, I think it's your fault. You won't meet him halfway.
And he's even willing to meet you on a drawbridge.
Irma. You know, Mrs. O'Reilly, you've got to understand that the professor is a very lonely man. He's alone in the world, and I don't want to interfere, but that room of his is, well...
Now, Janie, that's not my fault. I try to do my best, the best I can in his room. Why, only yesterday I brought up some white sheets for him. But the man's an ingrate, because now he says he wants a bed.
Well, he's probably tired of sleeping on that studio couch. You know, the professor has a lot of pride. But underneath it all, he's a very sensitive and warm-hearted person.
Oh, I guess you're right, Jane. You know, there are times when I think he likes me because he flirts with me.
Really, Mrs. O'Reilly? How do you know?
Oh, a woman always knows these things, Irma. One time when I was on top of the roof, leaning over, fixing the clothesline, he nudged me playfully. Oh, well, what's the use of dreaming? I think I'll just go back to my room and throw rocks at me hope chest. Goodbye, girls.
Oh, gee, Jane, I feel sad all over again.
Why, honey?
Oh, the professor and Mrs. O'Reilly are both so lonely. Wouldn't it be wonderful if tonight at dinner when we get our fellas back, we could get them together, too? Then we can kill 6 birds with one dinner.
The way you're cooking, honey, you can get 8-to-1 odds anyplace. Besides, you know, Irma, they don't get along. I don't think the professor and Mrs. O'Reilly can even sit in the same room without our having to call the police. Come in.
Flowers for Jane Stacy.
That's me. Oh, here you are, boy.
Thanks, lady.
Oh, gee. Oh, Irma, they're from Richard. Oh, aren't they beautiful? And here's a card. Oh, now, isn't this sweet? It says, "We'll never quarrel again. I'm looking forward to dinner tonight. Love, Richard." Wasn't that thoughtful of him?
Oh, yes. I wonder what Al will bring.
Probably some wax paper, so what he can't eat, he can take home.
Please, Jane, you shouldn't pick on Al like that. Someday he's going to be a big man.
Honey, he couldn't be a big man if he was wearing stilts. That boyfriend of yours has more angles than a 4-way cold tablet. Come in.
Hello, Jane. Hiya, chicken.
Hello, Al, honey.
Here, chicken. Candy for you.
Oh, look, Jane, a box of assorted chocolates.
Really? Let's see. 3 peanut bars, 1 old Nick, 2 packages of Lifesavers. Wow, this is quite a present, Diamond Jim.
Dangerous work. I shook that candy machine till I was blue in the face.
Oh, Jane, look, here's a card from Al. Oh, Al, I could kiss you for this.
Card? What does it say?
Love is a path between 2 hearts from which we have never swerved. So say those words I've longed to hear. Darling, dinner is served. Oh, gee, Jane, isn't he another Longfellow?
Yeah, but Longfellow wrote from suffering. Al writes from hunger.
Oh, don't talk about Al that way, Jane. Al, did that job come through with Craig Oil?
No, chicken, but got him interested in a great deal. It's a derrick with a Ferris wheel attached. So if you don't strike oil, you can open an amusement park.
Oh, Al, that sounds wonderful. You see what hidden talents he has, Jane?
Hidden? They should be exiled.
Oh, gee, Jane, isn't it wonderful? Now I've got Al back and you've got Richard back. Oh, but I'm still not happy.
Now what's the matter, honey?
Oh, I keep thinking of the professor and Mrs. O'Reilly. I can't be happy if I know other people are unhappy.
Well, but, honey, what can we do about it?
Well, I've got a plan.
No, wait a minute, Irma. No, Irma.
Jane, I'll be right back.
Oh,
Hey, what do you think Chicken is up to?
I don't know, Al, but I'm afraid she's out on a mercy errand. She's probably going to try to get Professor Kropotkin and Mrs. O'Reilly down here together.
Oh, she ain't got a chance. You know, although Chicken's got a great heart, I don't think she's got much tact. Do you, Jane?
Well, I'll put it this way, Al. If Irma had been a diplomat during the Civil War, not only would the North have fought the South, but the East would have slugged it out with the West. Al, will you keep an eye on the pot roast while I get the phone, huh? Hello? Oh, hello, Richard. Oh, your flowers were just beautiful. Yeah, dinner will be at 7. We're having a pot roast. And if Irma accomplishes what I think she's trying to do, we may have the police for dessert. I'll explain it all to you when I see you. Goodbye, Richard. Hi, How's the roast, Al?
Fine. Never tasted anything better.
Oh, Al. All I wanted you to do was just to watch
Well,
it.
Jane, I did it. It's all fixed.
Irma, they're coming for dinner?
Yes, I told Mrs. O'Reilly it was a surprise, and I couldn't tell her who the fellow was.
Well, what about the professor?
Well, I told him we had a girlfriend for him who was a combination of Rita Hayworth and Lana Turner put together.
Chicken, how could you say that?
Well, the two of them put together are about as old as Mrs. O'Reilly and weigh about the same.
Chicken, the professor didn't fall for that, did he?
Well, he did when I showed him this picture. Of course, he doesn't know who it is.
Let me see it. Irma, who is this?
It's Mrs. O'Reilly.
But this must have been taken when she was 18 years old.
Jane, he's getting a woman, not a car. He doesn't have to know what model it is.
I maybe could use that line for me. March 8th, 1948, My Friend Irma on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now more of My Friend Irma, starring Marie Wilson, March 8th, 1948.
Well, in her own inimitable way, Irma has done it again. She's got Mrs. O'Reilly thinking that a young Casanova awaits her. And Professor Kropotkin will be down to dinner expecting to meet some glamorous young siren. When they find out the awful truth, the only siren around will be the one that brings the riot squad. I don't know what to do. Irma, how could you have done this?
Well, Jane, we wanted to bring the two of them together.
Oh, yes, but honestly, honey, the professor's going to walk in here expecting an 18-year-old girl. He will see Mrs. O'Reilly. What will you say to him?
Gee, Professor, you're late.
Chicken, nobody was ever that late.
You know, Irma, there's only one thing to do, and that's to tell the truth. I'll go upstairs, and I'll try and...
Girls, excuse my appearance, but I'm getting dressed for dinner. And I've been so excited at the thought of meeting a new gentleman that I dropped my mirror. How does my hair look?
I think you've got it on backwards.
What?
I mean your comb.
Look, you know, Mrs. O'Reilly, about this gentleman that you're expecting...
Not another word, Jane. I want it to be a surprise.
Oh, but you see, Miss O'Reilly, Professor Kropotkin...
Please, Irma, don't mention his name when we're speaking of the finer things in life. Oh, dear, I'd better hurry back to my room. My eyelashes are drying on the windowsill. And I'm afraid the birds will get at them. I'll be back soon. Goodbye, girls.
Oh, now, Irma. There, you see how you've misled the poor woman. When she sees it's the professor, her heart'll be broken. Not to mention all the furniture.
Jane, we gotta prevent them from killing each other.
Well, I don't know why you're both so worried. It'll be a candlelight dinner, and when they come in, we'll blow out all the candles.
All right. Every man for himself. Come in.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, it's you, Richard. Gee, I'm afraid you're not in for a very peaceful meal.
What do you mean?
Well, you see, I originally planned this dinner as a sort of a bury the hatchet thing. But it seems that Irma's played Cupid and invited Mrs. O'Reilly and Professor Kropotkin without either of them knowing the other is coming. So instead of it being a bury the hatchet party, it'll just be a scalping party.
Well, now, Jane, I wouldn't be so distressed. You know, I once read an article by an eminent psychologist who states that the reason so many couples fear romance and marriage is because they see so many unhappy couples around them.
Yeah? What you mean is that if the four of us pretend to be very happy, the professor and Mrs. O'Reilly will forget their hatred and try to copy us.
Exactly. Huh? But we must put it on extra heavy, Jane. No quarreling of any sort. We must be the epitome of happiness. You understand, Irma?
Certainly, I'll show them we're happy. Al, when they knock at the door, I'll sit on your lap.
No, Chicken, I'll sit on your lap.
I don't care if you sit on each other's laps, but remember now, no quarreling, and that goes for all of us. And remember, shh, Irma, be happy, happy. Come in.
Well, here I am, dressed to kill.
Oh, then you know.
Quiet, Irma.
Oh, yes. Ha 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 ha.
Did I say something funny?
No, it's just that we're all so happy. Ha 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 ha.
Well, this young lady I'm going to meet, Janie, what's she like?
Well, I must say her pictures do flatter her a little.
Yes, about 40 years.
Irma, is Professor, that's a nice suit you've got on. Is it salt and pepper or herringbone?
Who knows, when you work in a restaurant, you pick up everything.
Oh, you can't dispute that. March 8th, 1948, My Friend Irma on Classic Radio Theater. The conclusion follows these important messages from your favorite station. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. You're in tune with Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station. And now the conclusion of My Friend Irma, starring Marie Wilson, from March 8th, 1948.
I'm so excited. I'm shaking like a schoolboy.
Here comes the truant officer. Come in.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, Mrs. O'Reilly, how lovely you look. Irma, not yet.
Professor, what are you doing here?
Oh, what's the difference? Richard, my sweet, it's nice to see your smiling face before me. Happy, dear?
I do nothing but smile when I'm with you, beloved. Right, Al?
Oh, indeed. I have never known such happiness since I met Chicken. Every time I look at her, I laugh.
Yes. Well, shall we all have dinner?
Oh, yes, just as soon as the young lady... Hold it. Hold it.
What's the matter?
I'm getting a little sick. Richard is for Jane. Al is for Irma. And me, I'm for the nearest open window.
Now, wait, Professor, wait.
What is there to wait about? Irma.
What, Professor?
That picture of that girl you showed me.
That was Mrs. O'Reilly taken 40 years ago.
I don't believe it. That much damage couldn't have been done in only 40 years.
Now, just a minute there, Professor. You think you're disappointed. What about me? I expected someone handsome and dashing. The only time you ever dashed was when you saw me coming for the rent.
Now, listen to me, Mrs. O'Reilly.
You listen to me, Professor.
Now, look, the two of you. Now, look, maybe we did trick you into this meeting, but why not be grown up about it? You're both just wonderful people, and you're lonely. Gee, I think you ought to give each other a chance. Come on, now, why don't you join us at dinner? And you can see for yourself how happy Al is with Irma and I am with Richard. Come on, now, what do you say?
Pot roast smells pretty good, folks.
Well, I'm willing.
Well, I'll stay. Only on the condition that I sit next to Mrs. O'Reilly.
Why, Professor?
If I sit next to her, I won't have to face her.
Well, come on now, everybody. Dinner is served. Well, here we are, just finishing dinner, and I must say things have been progressing rather nicely so far. Not one harsh word has passed between Mrs. O'Reilly and the professor. Maybe it's because neither of them stopped eating since they sat down. But now we're in trouble. They finished eating. And before they get a chance to start tearing into each other, I've nudged Richard and whispered to him to tell a funny story.
You know, as long as we're all sitting here sort of friendly, I'd sort of like to tell a little story. It's sort of risque.
Oh, don't tell a story in risque. Tell it in plain English so we can all understand it.
Irma, why do you always butt in when Richard wants to talk? Go ahead, Richard.
Chicken, are you going to let Jane talk to you like that?
Well, as I was saying...
Irma, will you please be quiet, please? We'd like to hear what Richard has to say.
Well, as I was saying...
Why does Richard have to talk? Maybe my Al has a funny story.
Thank you, Chicken. Now,
Irma,
this fellow
Richard has started. Let him finish.
Thank you, Jane. Well, now, it seems...
Wait a minute. What's wrong with my stories? I know funnier ones than he does.
Yes. That's a good one, Al.
I haven't told it yet.
Irma Peterson, now this is your last warning. You keep still or
Now, just a minute, Jane. Nobody talks to Irma like that when I'm around. You get smart with her and I'll...
Now, wait a minute, Al. Don't talk to Jane that way.
Stay out of this, Richard. I can handle it myself.
Jane, I wish you'd stop telling everybody what to do.
That's telling her, Chicken. She's always picking on you.
No, she's not.
Well, she does pick on you, Irma. I think it's for your own good.
Richard Rhinelander, I'm perfectly capable of handling my own arguments. This is a personal affair. Please stay out of it.
All right, Jane, if that's the way you feel about it, goodbye.
Probably heard the story anyway.
Oh, that Richard's a sorehead.
Al, that's no way to talk about Richard after all. You're not his girlfriend.
Oh, keep quiet, Irma.
Jane, you can't talk to my girl that way.
Al, mind your own business.
Okay, I will. Goodbye.
Jane, this is all your fault. You made Al leave.
I made him leave. Irma, sometimes I think you're the most ridiculous girl in the world. Goodbye.
She's got no right saying I'm the most ridiculous girl in the world. She hasn't traveled enough to know. And I'm going to tell her that.
Mrs. O'Reilly.
Yes, Professor?
It has been a long time since I've had the privilege of escorting a beautiful woman to a dance. Are you ready?
Oh, Professor.
Well, we're all friends again, thanks to Mrs. O'Reilly and Professor Kropotkin, who gave a dinner for all of us tonight. So before we went, I said to Irma, now remember, honey, let's not have any quarrels with anyone tonight. Just agree with everything the fellas say. And Irma took me literally. In fact, Richard said he thought if he took another bite, he'd choke to death, and Irma said...
Oh, if that'll make you happy, I'm in favor of it.
Me, Jane Stacy, I don't know if I'm happy or not, but I'm in favor of my friend Irma.
My Friend Irma, presented by Swan, another fine product of Lever Brothers Company, was produced and directed by Cy Howard. Tonight's script was written by Cy Howard and Park Levy, and stars Marie Wilson as Irma and Kathy Lewis as Jane. The part of Professor Kropotkin was played by Hans Conried. Mrs. O'Reilly was played by Gloria Gordon. Ladies, listen. The shortage of fats and oils is still very serious, and it's worldwide. So please keep on saving every drop of used kitchen fat. Your butcher will pay you for every pound. Frank Bingman speaking.
That was fun, wasn't it? March 8th, 1948, My Friend Irma here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, my thanks to Ted at RadioMemories.com for one of these early episodes of Lum and Abner as we go back to March 8th of 1935, over 80 years ago, as the circus comes to Pine Ridge. And how's this going to affect the boys? Just guess.
Howdy, everybody. Here we are, all ready to take you down to Pine Ridge for another visit with Lum and Abner. And now, let's see what's happening down in Pine Ridge. Well, Abner's swap idea, that of trading groceries out of his store for anything the customer might have to trade, is proving very popular. He has monopolized business in Pine Ridge for the past few days, and incidentally is acquiring a large and assorted collection of animals, as well as other odds and ends. As we look in on Pine Ridge today, we find Lum alone in the store. Dick Huddleston is just entering. Listen.
Well, come in. Right over on this side of the store for lowest prices. Quantity merchandise at quality... Howdy, Dick. I thought you was a customer coming in.
No, I didn't want to buy nothing, Lum. I was just looking for Abner.
For Abner?
Yeah.
Well, I reckon he's out back there tending to that livestock of his. I ain't saw him in a couple of hours now. Sit down. He'll more likely be in directly.
Yeah, well, I'll just wait till he gets inside. I can't talk to him out there if he's busy no way.
Well, he's busy, I'll tell you that. Keeps him and Cedric both busy all day tending to that stock of his. You ought to see just what all he's got back there. Outdoing this conglomeration of animals I ever seen in my life. He just went plumb hog wild. Swap for anything they'll bring in here.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to talk to him about, Lum.
He's got goats and hogs and cows and dogs and chickens and turkeys and guineas and possums. Swap for 3 possums and a coon this morning.
For goodness sake.
He's got 60-some-odd rabbits out there.
60?
There was, last count he made, and yesterday Snake Hogan's panned off an old horse on him. I just wished you could see him. Abner gave Snake Hogan $50 in trade for it, and it laid down out there at the side of the store and taken him and Cedric might nigh all night to get him in the lot back there.
Yeah. Well, Abner never was much of a trader no way, Lum. I don't see why he started on this swapping business in the first place.
I don't neither. I wouldn't give him $3 for that horse even if he lives.
Yeah.
He had the veteran over here twice today. He's so weak he can't even stand up.
Well, now, how does he ever expect to come out on a deal like that, Lum? He can't sell a horse if he's that near dead.
Well, he's going to try to pan the horse off on somebody. He's got him propped up out there in the stall to where he sort of looks like he's standing up.
Yeah, well, he's just ruining business here in town, Lum. That's what he's doing. If he's making any money out of it, well, I wouldn't complain, but that's what I came over to talk to him about. He's not making anything, and we can't make nothing.
Why, no.
I haven't made expenses all week. All my customers are bringing eggs or chickens or something over here and swapping them to him for groceries, and you can't get them to pay cash as long as they can do that.
Well, I don't know. He won't last long, no, Dick. Just look over there how his stock's running down.
Yeah.
See how empty them shelves is getting?
Yeah, they are.
He'll be out of merchandise in a few days. The rate he's going now. He's already run out of feed. That bunch of stock he's got out there is eating him out of business. He had to buy feed from me today.
He did?
Yeah, he's the best customer I got now. Fact is, he's about the only one I got. Granny's, I'm sure making him pay a profit on that feed I'm selling him, though.
Oh, where's he getting the money to pay for it, Lum?
Well, I'm having to sell it to him on a credit. See, he ain't got no cash money at all now.
Now, you're taking big chances there, ain't you? Selling him on a credit with all that trading that he's doing?
Yeah, but I don't know. I couldn't hardly turn Abner down. I've knowed him so long.
No, of course. But now fellas got to watch his credit business, Lum. I had a chance this morning to sell a batch of stuff on a credit and make some money, but I turned them down because I knew there wasn't a chance for me to ever get my money out of it.
I sure.
It's that circus that's supposed to open up here tomorrow.
Circus?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Been seeing some bill posters around town.
Oh, yeah, they
Circus
plastered
Comes.
the town with them.
Yeah, looks like that's going to be right smart of a show.
Well, I don't know, Lum. They ain't got much. Just a bunch of old wore-out animals. They're so poor they look like they're about half-starved.
Well, I do know.
I went down to look over what they had this morning. They're just about ready to fold up. More than likely be stranded right here in Pine Ridge before they get done.
I do know.
Why, they didn't have enough groceries there in the cook tent to last them through the day.
Yeah.
If they don't make arrangements for credit around here someplace, well, I don't know what they're going to do.
More than likely be on charities.
Why, sure, that's what I'm afraid of. Have to feed them all the rest of the winter.
I feel sorrowful for folks like that, but I'm glad they never come over here looking for credit. I'd hate to turn them down, but I know I can't afford to feed a whole circus crew.
Why, I know. That's the way I felt about it. And there ain't a chance in the world a feller ever getting his money from an outfit like that. You get stuck when you let them have it.
Wait a minute, there's our ring. Hi, Granny, this is one time I can ask my own prices without Abner cutting under me. Hello? This is the Jot 'em Down store. Lum Eddard's talking. No, Mom, that's Abner, Mr. Peabody's side of the store that's doing that. Uh-huh. Well, I just couldn't tell you, Mrs. Willis. You'll have to talk to him about it. I reckon he will, though. He ain't turned nobody down on nothing yet. Well, he ought to be in most any time now. All right, I'll tell him. No, not at all, not at all. Goodbye. Georgia Willis's woman in calling wants to swap a couple of house cats and some goldfish for some groceries.
For goodness sake.
I told her to fetch 'em on down. He'll swap for anything. He's got a whole cage full of white mice back there he swapped for this morning.
White
He
mice?
ought to take them. He ought to take goldfish.
Well, what in the world does he expect to do with all this stuff? Stuff like white mice.
I don't know. I don't think he knows himself. Don't reckon he's looked at for a head. Just swapping.
Well, it beats anything that I've ever seen.
Ain't no use to talk to him about it, though. I tried it again this morning. He says I was just jealous because he's doing such a big business.
Yeah. Well, he can have all that kind of business he wants, Lum. I don't want none of it, I know that.
Anyway, here comes Cedric in the back door there, Dick. Mind out what you say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, howdy, Cedric.
Well, howdy, Mr. Dick. Whereabouts is Mr. Abner at, Mr. Lum?
I don't know, Cedric. I just allowed he's out back there tending to his stock.
No, he left out there about an hour ago. Went off with some feller. I don't know who he was.
Yeah, he's more than likely out making another trade with somebody.
He better get them dogs or them possums one out of the same pen back there.
You mean he's got the dogs and the possum in the same pen, Cedric?
Well, no, not in the same pen. He's got the possums in a cage, but the dogs is barking at them and scaring the rest of the livestock out there.
Well, just let 'em bark. It ain't none of my worries.
Well, it ain't none of mine either. That is, it ain't supposed to be. I went to work down here at the store. You fellas said you wanted me to deliver groceries. All I've did the last 2 days is build pens and look after that menagerie out there.
Keeping you pretty busy, are they, Cedric?
Yes, Mom. Them pigeons got out a while ago, and I had a time of getting them all back in. Never did catch 2 of them. They flew off.
Well, sir, I want to go back there directly and see that zoo, just to see what it looks like back
Yeah,
there.
Abner be running competition at that circus over there for long.
Yeah, you ought to just join up with him, Lum. Just pitch in 50-50. They'd have a pretty good show with all he's got.
Granny, somebody else wanting to swap some animals, I reckon.
Look, better tell them we ain't got no more room out there now, Mr. Lum.
Hello? Got 'em down, store. Lum Eddard's talking. Why, no, he ain't here. I don't know where he's at, Ike. He done what? Well, now, don't jump on me about it. Me and him ain't partners no more. He's the one that's doing the swapping. I couldn't tell you. There's a couple back there, but I don't know who he got 'em off of. Well, wait a minute. Hold the receiver. Who did Abner get them 2 hounds from, Cedric?
Let's see. I believe he swapped Miss Reynolds out of them this morning.
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, I reckon they're yours, Ike. Cedric says Abner got 'em from your woman this morning. Well, I don't know. You'll have to see him about it. Well, that's up to you and him. I don't know what the law is on it. All right. All right, I'll tell him. All right, Ike. Goodbye. Granny's Abner's got himself into it now, sure enough.
What's the matter, Lum?
Why, that was Ike Reynolds. Mad enough to bite. Said while he's down at the sawmill at work today, his woman brung his 2 best hounds down here and swapped them to Abner for groceries. Now he's wanting them back. Said they weren't hern to trade.
Well, if I was him, I'd call that a good shutting.
Well, he said it was the best 2 varmint dogs he had on the place. Said they's both extras.
Yeah, well, that Ike's pretty mad when he gets mad that way. He's a hard customer.
Oh, yeah, he's mad now, too. Says he's going to give Abner a licking or get them hounds back one.
Yonder comes Mr. Abner out front there now.
Yeah, there he is.
I expect I better get on back out there and see if them pigeons has came back yet. They're supposed to be homers, but I don't know where they think they live at now. Over here or back over there at Doolittle's place, where they come from.
Howdy, Abner. You got yourself into it now, Abner. Ike Reynolds just called up and said his woman swapped you a couple of his hounds unbeknownst to him. Says he's going to get 'em back or give you a licking.
Yeah, I'd just love to see him try it. I ain't the constable here for nothing.
Yeah, I've been waiting to see you too, Abner.
Yeah, well, I've been over making a big deal. I dog it, I sold $200 worth of groceries just now. Beat you fellers to it.
$200 worth?
Yes, sir, $200. That circus that's in town, I made arrangements to furnish them all their stuff while they're here.
Oh, yeah.
Did you sell that outfit some groceries on a credit, Abner?
For goodness sake.
Well, yes, but he's going to pay me before they leave town, though.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
You'll never get a nickel of it, Abner.
No.
Dick was just down telling me they're just about ready to fold up.
Yeah, but now, they never put nothing over on me. I got 'em to where they'll have to pay me. I've got a first mortgage on every animal they got down there. Bears and lions and monkeys and zebras and camels and everything else.
Well, Abner may not be making any money, but he's certainly doing the business. This is Carlton Brickert, speaking for Lum and Abner and Horlicks, who bid you all good night and good health.
March 8th, 1935, Lum and Abner on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. You think that they're going to end up with the circus animals? You think they're going to end up in the circus? We'll see. Well, Ted at RadioMemories.com supplies us all these old Lum and Abner shows. Contact Ted, RadioMemories.com. He has shows available for you. For the seniors who don't have computers or smartphones, he supplies shows on cassette and CD as well. RadioMemories.com. That's RadioMemories.com. Hope you'll also take a moment to thank this radio station and support their advertisers. It is their kindness and courtesy that allow Classic Radio Theater to be with you here each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. Now, if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. You can find all of our shows available on demand 21 hours a week at classicradio.stream. That is classicradio.stream. Stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me there, find our social media links. And if you enjoy what we do and you'd like to support us in keeping our distribution channels open and helping me acquire additional classic radio programs, you can buy me a coffee. Buy me a coffee at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. Have a great day, won't you please? Tell all your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.